Good morning. Good morning. Can everybody hear me? Let me know. Slick Rick is here. How you doing, Rick? How's San Francisco? Thank you for joining us. Timmy Dog. Oh my God. Timmy never shows up. Wow. This should be interesting. Timmy's got a lot going on. Craig Luzvinenda Johnson, good morning from Mondialong. Good morning, Craig. How are you? You know, Arlen and I actually lived in Mondialong for a while, back when we first started together. Ricky Lass, good morning, Ricky. Ricky says he can hear me. That's good. I appreciate it. We hear you fine. Okay, well, I should start this out and say this. This is not about Trump as a person. Whether you love him, hate him, whatever, doesn't matter. Okay? What we're talking about today is going to be what's going on and how it might impact expats anywhere, even here in the Philippines and elsewhere. John, my little world. Hey, John, how are you? Thanks for joining us. Good morning, Jim Conk. How are you? Big Dave, top of the morning to you and Arlen. Doc, when's the long drive? We are probably going to do that after elections. The closer we get, we'll probably want to wait until after the elections. Election cycles tend to get a little bit violent. The checkpoints that go up everywhere, the delays, all of the things that are with that. I don't think we want to deal with it, especially when we're traveling areas that we're not familiar with. So that's probably going to be, I think elections are in May, April, May. So I don't know. So we're still working on that kind of a plan. Anyways, so how does all of Trump's executive orders? John says he has me worried about Social Security. It's anyone's guess what he is really going to do with it, with anything. You know, John, I think it's a legitimate thought. I think it's a very legitimate concern. Is he going to extend the age, the minimum age required for benefits, even for partial benefits? Is he going to reduce what's out there? There's been a lot of talk, but I don't know. I think people might probably sit there and say, hey, you know what? It is, is Trump going to go after this very mature voting bloc? Is he going to separate them out of the Republican Party? Is he going to give them a bad taste? I don't know. I think he's going to do whatever it is that works both politically and financially. I would be upset. We don't live off of our Social Security. In fact, my Social Security probably only represents like 15%, 20% of our monthly allowance. Okay. I think I've gone through this before, how we plan our finances and that we do give ourselves an allowance out of that. So, is it going to be devastating for me? No, but we do know a lot of people that are concerned. And I think Social Security is one of the big things. Absolutely. I don't know. You guys tell me in the comments. What's up, everyone? Philip Barreto. Good morning, Philip. Thanks for dropping in. Heath has joined us as well. Heath McDaniel. Thank you, Heath. Bipolar. Yeah, you're right. He doesn't have another term. He doesn't care about votes, but he is going to be driven, I think, by the Republican Party somewhat. The party doesn't want to lose out. This issue of walking in, I mean, Trump has really not executed and signed into finality that many, though a lot, of executive orders, but he's rescinded 3 times as many executive orders that Biden did. Is that what the next president's going to have to look forward to? That if the next president's a Democrat, he's going to get all of his executive orders rescinded? So, I think the Republican Party will put pressure on him to be reasonable. I think, it's all a guess at this point. It really and truly is. I think that he is going to go after fraud and abuse within government systems. That's just my personal view. But for all of you out there, comment and let me know. And once the room builds up, if it does, then we'll open up the interview section and we'll let you debate your point. And you don't have to agree with us. You don't have, your point can be even more informed than ours. That's for sure. We're not political scientists by any way, shape, or means. Although I got to tell you, I was having an issue. Excuse me, having an issue yesterday and the day before, watching the amount of blatant misinformation YouTube thumbnails. There was one, I think it got reported. It's the first time I ever seen it happen, but there was a thumbnail on a video talking about China imposes 100% tariff, stuns Trump. No, they didn't. They did not. They did not. All right. And that type of misinformation really hits people. Donnie B. Morning, Mike and Arlene. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, Donnie. I'm doing well. Arlene has a sinus infection, believe it or not. It's kind of had her down for just a day or two, but she's getting better. Trump never said he will cut any benefits, whether Social Security, VA, etc., but we will see. Yes, you're right. Trump never said it. I don't see anywhere where he implied it. But what he did say is that they're going after fraud and abuse. And I saw I was flipping through the news about a week ago. I want to say 4 days ago, I think it was. And you know how they stand out in the halls of the Senate or the House or wherever, and they're interviewing congressmen coming and going, senators coming and going. And there was a aide to a senator. And that aide said that they are going to go after fraud and abuse within Social Security disability and within the VA disability system. Now, that may be a problem for some people. Personally, I'm going to tell you how I feel, and please, that's just the way I feel. I believe that the veterans are entitled to VA disability if indeed it's legitimate. That's all there is to it. I believe that Americans are entitled to Social Security disability if they meet the requirements and it is a legitimate disability. But if you look at the difference between both of them and the numerous news articles over the years about the corruption in the system, it's definitely out there. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? John says, so far it all looks like simple retribution for the people that offended him during the last 4 years. You know, John, I got to admit, it certainly looks like there's some retribution in there. There's no doubt about it. My views, your world. Hey, my views. Hi, everyone. Boom. Tariff begins today. 25% on Canada, 25% on Mexico, 10% on China. Yeah, you know, Smooth, I'm going to tell you, I really want to have a phone call with you one day. I loved your video on BRICS. And by the way, folks, if you don't subscribe to Smoothly, you really should. He's one of my favorite bloggers. And even though he's not a giant channel or anything, he is legit. He's to the point. He's an eloquent speaker. He has a beautiful family. He is a nice guy. And he does not put out bullshit, to be honest with you. I've never seen him. But I do have some thoughts about BRICS. I really and truly do. And while I agree with you in the large scope, there are some points in there that I'd enjoy talking to you about to see how you feel. Chippy Whiska. Good old Chippy. He's been with us for a long time. Super chat from Chippy Whiska. Let's see here. Thanks so much for the super chat, Chippy. I've been investing heavily in lottery tickets. I guess that's one way to hedge your bets. You know, you can buy precious metals. You can buy lottery tickets. You could go to New Orleans to the voodoo chick down there and maybe get some kind of potions. I don't know. But Chippy, I hope it pays out for you. I really and truly do. Slip Rick saying hi to Smooth. So anyways, when we talk about this, how does this impact you? I ask this because, you know, here's an example. We know a lot of expats here in the Philippines. Every expat we know in the Philippines, and I'm going to get really pissed off people, with the exception of one, and these are what I would call close friends, has VA disability. And with the exception of one of them, they got their disability here in the Philippines. Now, that has to say something. Now, I believe that all of my friends that are on disability are indeed legitimately on disability. But it does make you think, what's going to happen if Trump begins this? You know, we've seen so much out there when it comes to corruption. What about disability within the, corruption within the tax system? Is he going to do something about that? Personally, I'm not going to worry about things I can't control, and Social Security is one of them. You know, Donnie, you're right. It really and truly is. We cannot control it. And to have it impact your mental health or even your physical health, that's a bad thing. There are things you cannot deal with when it comes to that. Tito George's travel. Social Security will not be cut. I've heard that crap for over 40 years now. Well, you know what? I've heard it too. I've heard it. And I don't think they'll cut Social Security. But I do think that it is not inconceivable, because even the Democrats were talking about it years ago, and the Republicans have spoken about it, that they may extend the minimum age requirement. That's just what I'm thinking. Any changes regarding Social Security benefits, this comes from 111. Any changes regarding Social Security benefits can't be done by executive order. Congress must be involved. Trump makes many claims about what he will do, but the actual results can be quite different. Let's wait and see. Yes, indeed. He would have to have Congress make that change. He absolutely would. But if he controls the House and the Senate, well, that's a big deal. Get better, Arlen. She is getting better. Smoothly, Wagwan Rice. What's up, Dave? Craig Luzvina. I feel President Trump is well-meaning and will try his best to bring the USA back into the power we used to be. He will focus on made in the USA industry. He got rid of Dell. I'm not sure what he means by Dell. I'm sorry, Craig. Okay. Yeah, I think what he wants to see is for the U.S. to rebuild, and it certainly does. Can Trump be impeached again? Sure he can. Absolutely. Getting impeached doesn't kick you out of office. However, there have been presidents that have been impeached and still in office. Trump was one of them. He got impeached and didn't get kicked out. Tito says if you're cheating the system, then yes, you should lose your benefits. Yeah, but if you're deserving, you should get them. There's no doubt about that. Jim says retribution well deserved. Well, yeah, that's one way to look at it. Smooth. Really I'm telling you, folks, Smoothly has a great channel. Chippy Whisker, personally, I don't think you should rely on Social Security. I know it's difficult for many, but for the younger guys, save your money. I agree, Chippy. I'm an older guy, and I never relied on Social Security to be my retirement plan. I mean, even the federal government tells you point blank, it absolutely, the federal government tells you, and any financial advisor that is, can breathe will tell you, Social Security is meant as a supplement to your retirement. It is not meant to replace your wages, and it was never meant to be your only means of income. Hillbilly Pyro, good morning. My nose itches. Somebody must be talking about me. Good morning, Hillbilly. Thanks for joining us. Horace, some VA disability claims, psychological, psychiatric diseases developed before the current pre-enlistment screening are hard to disprove, so the VA judge generally grants them. My cousin is a lawyer. I don't know. You know what? I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to tell you right now. I don't know anything about the VA disability process. I don't know anything about the Social Security disability insurance process. I really and truly do not. I just know that since even my 30s, I can remember seeing news articles and news articles that talked about corruption within the system. Horace says, his cousin is a lawyer that handles VA claims. My Views, Your World. My Views, Your World just became a member. Wow, My Views. Thank you. Thank you so much. I I'm unfortunately going to have to be honest and tell you that our membership section is probably the biggest waste of money, time, and effort you will ever spend. I very infrequently post there, but I should start to make a bigger effort for that. It's just I have a hard time putting out information that I don't think everybody should be entitled to. But we do appreciate it. Thanks so much. Donnie B, CDI teams have always been around looking for fraud, sneaky investigators, hide out at the dock office and such. Donnie, I don't know what a CDI team is, but I'm assuming it has to do with looking out for fraud and corruption within these systems. But what do you think is going to happen, and how will it impact everybody else? SSDI has decreased fraud by no longer accepting alcoholism, drug addiction as a cause for getting either. I don't know. You mean that you used to be able to get Social Security disability for being a drug addict or an alcoholic? Shit. Maybe I should have started drinking when I was young. I don't know. What's 279 Canadian to US dollars? 50 cents, Chippy says. Thanks, Justin Trudeau. I have no idea. I really don't, Chippy, but it's the thought that counts. It really and truly is. If you find the channel entertaining, if you find it helpful, the best thing you can do is subscribe, give us a thumbs up. We really like it. Craig says, I don't like to look in a crystal ball, as 9 times out of 10, it's wrong. You know what? You're right, Craig. I can remember when you could buy a crystal ball at Spencer Gifts for about $20, or you could buy a magic 8-ball. Remember the magic 8-ball? Is she going to be a fun day tonight? You would turn it over. Looks promising. No, whatever. Tariffs. The dollar will get stronger, possibly much stronger. That's interesting, Mike. I don't understand why you would think it does, but it's good to know. I hope it gets stronger. That's for sure. Land Mantics. Social Security is the worst investment I ever made. 15% of everything I have made, and now I hope to live long enough to get some of my money back. Yeah, you're right. I could have done much better with my money in the market than the return on Social Security. And however, if indeed he will change it to where we don't pay taxes on our Social Security, which would also mean, so here's the deal. So we're in a little bit different tax bracket. Quite honestly, we're in a tax bracket that says, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but for every $2 over a certain amount of my Social Security benefit, I have to give up $1. Now, that would be nice to get that dollar back, number one. And number two, to not be taxed on it, that would make a big difference. Well, thank you very much, Craig. GD, how's it going, GD? Thanks for dropping in. Trump has already stated many times he'll not touch Social Security or veterans benefits. With the backlog the VA already has, it would be nearly impossible to reevaluate every veteran with a disability. Well, yeah, it probably would. But that doesn't mean he won't try it. That doesn't mean it won't happen. All right? So we'll see. Does every retired American get Social Security even if they have good wealth? Not every retired American gets Social Security. They have to have worked so many quarters. The vast majority do. I think there are some people that have actually never worked that get Social Security. But unlike some countries, our Social Security system is not means tested. It's not capped. Like if you're in Australia, your pension there, your federal pension, is means tested. So they take your value, and I don't know the formulas or anything like that, but it is means tested. They've never done means testing on Social Security, and they shouldn't, because unlike other countries, our Social Security system in the U.S., we actually pay. It's not something that's just a government. The government doesn't fund Social Security. Okay? The government does not fund Social Security. Every dollar it goes into Social Security comes from either an employer or an employee. So for instance, when I was an employee, I paid, I think it was 3.5% of my gross income was automatically deducted, and my employer matched that. They have to do the same amount. When I owned businesses, I paid for my employees and deducted as Social Security requires. Drew NC61, glad to see Trump back in the White House. We can have common sense again. Well, okay, I'm not going to argue with that. Trump is only doing what he said he was going to do, David says. Now that he is doing it, everyone is crying. The U.S. has been spending taxpayers like it's, well, there's no doubt about that, David. David, there's no doubt that the U.S. has been printing more money than ever. I mean, look at the national debt. And I don't see a lot of benefit from that. I see infrastructure projects in the U.S. that are either worthless or have not taken place or whatever. So I don't see a lot for that. Cool. Consider it a super chat. Thank you so much, my views. Michael Atos. Hey, Michael, people have forgotten that Social Security in the U.S. was robbed blind back in the world borrow, back in the would borrow money from it, balance the budget. Social Security has money, but owed. Yes, indeed. Indeed. Social Security is nowhere near insolvent if the federal government would repay what was borrowed by it. There's no doubt about that. Horace says, yes, you could at one time get SSDI and SSI for alcoholism and drug addiction. Many users are still grandfathered in, but they are the most heavily reviewed claims. I wouldn't doubt it. Yes, the Magic 8 Ball. Craig remembers it. Back in my day, had a different meaning and outcome. Michael, shame on you. Shame on you. He says he trusted the Magic 8 Ball. I'd like to have another one. I bet you can still buy them somewhere. I bet they're still for sale. I would like to have one. That would be kind of interesting. Sadly, tariffs will raise prices for the U.S. consumer. Yes, tariffs will. The people that pay for the tariffs that we impose are going to pay for that tariff. Or they're going to find a product similar, equal, or otherwise that they don't have to. So, for instance, if you buy maple syrup product of Canada, or you buy maple syrup, a product of Vermont, well, the Vermont maple syrup may well be much cheaper. But yes, indeed, John, you're correct. Import tariffs increase value of the dollar. Export tariffs weaken the dollar. Okay? Bruce, good morning, Bruce. How are you doing? Are you still here in the Philippines, or are you back in the States again, Bruce? Laughing. Trump's proposal to make Social Security benefits tax-free. How many would realize a big difference? Currently, the single filer getting no more than $25,000 a year is exempt already. I don't know, but I know that I would make money. I would see a difference. I've paid the maximum Social Security for 40 some odd years. I capped out for 40 some odd years. So my benefit is more than $25,000 a year. So I'd like my money, the rest of that money, tax-free. You bet. Tariff forces U.S. Americans to buy American. So yes, things will get expensive overall. But, will it also create manufacturing jobs in the U.S.? Think about it for a minute. When I first moved to the United States, I was born in the U.S., moved out of the U.S. My family moved overseas. I was raised in Asia until I was 13 and a half years old, came to the U.S. I can remember when I came to the U.S., thinking back, not that it made any difference then, okay, but thinking back, when you wanted a pair of jeans, you had 4 choices. That was it, 4. You had Levi's, Wrangler, what was it at Sears? Tough Skins, Rough Skins, something like that. And then Kmart had a brand. Those were the only jeans you could buy back then. I don't think any of those jeans are made in the U.S. anymore. It's possible. But my point is that we didn't have that. Maybe it's time for manufacturing to come back. I don't know. I really don't. Let me see here. Copied. I am going to put up, there's the link. If you would like to join in the chat on video, that's fine. I'll let you guys decide about it. Just keep in mind, I don't do faceless chats. You've got to be able to have your camera on. And that's just all there is to it. Tariff forces us Americans to buy American. Yes, unless you live in the Philippines. I can buy American. I just have to order it through Amazon and hope it's American. For those into investing, Enbridge is a good buy. New prime minister will approve pipeline. Very nice dividend. There you go. Chippy's helping you make money. Let me get through some of the hellos here. Rudy, wrong. Tariffs do not force Americans to buy American. Companies will still get supplied from foreign makers. Americans will just pay the end price. Or they'll choose another product. If America can manufacture something for less than a product that had a 100% tariff on it, what are they going to do? They're going to buy the American product, even if it's more expensive. Bingo. Okay, John. I'm not sure what the bingo is about. To this day, companies in the U.S. are laying off and opening operations in 4 countries. I pray we all suffer equally. They are. They certainly are. Worldwide distribution of economies is very complex. Social Security benefits will be reduced by 22% unless changes are made. I don't know. I pity the fool that allows Social Security to be reduced. I really do. I can guarantee you anybody that allows Social Security to be reduced, all right, without a long period of adjustment is just condemning their political party. Social Security is paid out now. It's not saved until you retire. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Joseph. Joseph, Social Security is paid out now. It's not saved until you retire. I'm not sure I understand that, Joseph. Can you elaborate? The U.S. can only print a specific amount of currency for circulation, which is why the debt is so high. 2016-2020 saw the highest debt increase in history. That's interesting. I'm still here, Mike, not going back. I'm home with the wife. Well, I hope you're enjoying it. All right, Bruce. It looks like you can still get a Magic 8-Ball from Amazon. I wonder if it's made in China. Just out of curiosity. Companies in the U.S., living our lives, companies in the U.S. are not about to lose profit just to hire American workers. Tariffs only aid in the damage that uncontrolled capitalism does to consumers. Yeah, I don't know about that. All right. But certainly I could learn. I'm open to learning about it. Bruce says he remembers the Magic 8-Ball. It was great. JCPenney's plain pocket jeans. Yeah, JCPenney's, I think it was. Sears had Tough Skins, Rough Skins, I can't remember. Wranglers and Levi's. Lee's, Levi, Wranglers. Jordache did not come out until I was in my late teens. I was in my late teens, and that was a fashionable, expensive jean. Michael says SSDI is a long, drawn-out process. I've been fighting them for 3 years, and last week granted it at age 55. The rules change for injury qualifications, and if they grant it on this rule, they don't give back pay. Wow, Michael, I don't know. You know, it is something, I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't know. I don't know enough about SSDI, but what happens in fraud and corruption? Will it impact expats? That's what I want to know. Pretty cool. I'll see if I can get one, lost one I had. Ruby, I didn't see Ruby drop in. If she's here, hiya, Ruby. Welcome. It's good to see you. I remember Tough Skins, the husky size with knee patches. Yeah, absolutely. Great comeback about the tariff, Mike. Great comeback about the tariff. It's just, it makes a little bit of sense. It just does. Certainly tariffs are going to hurt. Okay. When it comes to electronics, we don't have the cheap labor that Pakistan, that India, that China, that Vietnam has when it comes to assembling electronics. And so that's going to have an impact, okay? But if you raise the price of those electronics, well, then now you're starting to get a little bit more on an equal playing field. Because even though the people that produced it are still making plenty of profit, the people that are importing it are going to pass it on to you. And so therefore you're going to pay more for it. That's my thoughts. Social Security, Horace says Social Security is a legal Ponzi scheme. Current recipients are paid by future taxes. If a private insurer tried the same setup, Uncle Sugar would prosecute them as peer. Oh, yeah, there's no doubt. But at one time, Horace, Social Security had more coming in than it had going out. It wasn't even based on future retirement. At one time, Social Security was fluid. I'm enjoying the Philippines. It's my favorite place. It's beautiful and love the people. That's great, Bruce. When we discuss government policy changes, we must wake up, stand up, and see the picture on the cover of the puzzle box to see what's being formed. Haves versus the have-nots. Now, there's a really legitimate statement. All right? Is it legitimate to sit there and say that those of us on the lower income scale are going to suffer more than those of us on the higher income scale? Yes, absolutely. Because those of us on the higher income scale are going to have choices that those of us on the lower income scale may not or probably forgot. Michael, Lee's. Yeah, you know what, Michael? I did forget Lee's. You're right. I apologize. He proved that tariffs work in his first term. Barry Graham. Hi, Barry. Welcome. I wish we were here in America. Go back to the silver standard. It would force real economic change. I don't know. I think, you know what? Let me tell you what I think about that. I'm going to tell you what I think. Something. This should be a thing of the past. It should be a relic. It should be in a museum. This is what should take place. And here's why I say it. Until the world wakes up and replaces paper currency and all of the fraud, the corruption, the bullshit that goes along with it, with digital currency that's fully tracked, okay? Now, you could back this digital currency with paper. That's fine. But can you imagine? I want you to just think about this. Can you have any, don't even blurt an answer off the top of your head. I want you to actually think for 30 seconds before you answer it. If every transaction in your country was digital and you paid your tax, it was mandatory for those items that were taxable, services, goods, groceries, whatever. And it went automatically right into the government. Wow. I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. I did a remodel on our pool in Phoenix. All right. So I have a pool in the backyard and I did a remodel and it was X dollars. The remodel was going to cost me 40 grand. I went to the guy, the remodeling guy. All right. And he's totally legit guy, legit business, BBB, reviews, the whole 9 yards. It was the quote came back at 40 after we negotiated everything. The final quote, 40 grand. And then I said, I've got 31,000 right here in the house. Will you do it for cash? 31,000. Now, he took it. I can only assume that he never reported that as income. Just as I can only assume my pool guy who got paid in cash never reported or very infrequently reported it. I can only assume that my green card landscaping company, all right, we're very careful that we only hired legal people to do work around the house. All right. Did they report that income? Can you imagine what would happen? I don't know. That would clear up a lot of corruption. Over the long run, Chippy says, over the long run, money will be saved with tariffs. Better quality products, upfront costs will be more, but less replacement. There's a good idea. Americans are living longer, even those with chronic illnesses, so more money is coming out of the pot. That's true. That is true. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Social Security is paying for longer periods of time. 3 years. 3 years. That's the national average. Welcome to Planet Dirt. So basically, tariffs will drive more inflation. Oh, without a doubt. I think tariffs will have an inflationary impact. How will it happen? I don't know. Again, there's so much to try and figure out. Will beef become more expensive? I mean, right now we have farmers in the U.S. who are paid in the form of tax benefits and things like that to not farm their land, to not graze more cattle, to not raise more chickens. What happens if they needed it? Then would that drive the price down? I don't know. If you look at wage in the U.S., 1917 was around $40 a week. In 2017, same wage paid in Philippines, not adjusted for inflation. This is unfair trade deals, why tariffs are needed. And, the U.S. is never going to be able to fully meet the same boundaries that cheap labor produces. It's impossible. We have laws against child labor. We have laws about working conditions. We have laws. You just can't do it. But if indeed you don't have those laws and you can produce in these sweatshops, yeah, that's why you get cheap labor. Another reason America has a hard time competing with other countries is they're paying $15 an hour to be the fry guy at McDonald's. If you're 35 with 4 kids and working at McDonald's, bad life choice. Maybe. All right. David, I don't disagree with the concept of what you're saying, but there are people that have had rough lives. There are people that have made mistakes. There are people that have been decimated by bad relationships. I mean, I knew a guy that was making $500,000 a year, great medical practice. His wife devastated him in a divorce, blindsided him by wanting a divorce. He ended up blowing through $1,000 a week in cocaine before he finally got disbarred. All right. Had his license taken away, put in rehab, the whole 9 yards. Some people just have bad things happen. Gail, the tariffs that are happening locally to the states is twofold, linked to border security as well as trade imbalance. It's true that in the United States has lost much of its manufacturing. Gail, I will tell you, when I was in college one summer, I had a guy that I don't know why, but he thought I would be a good gopher. He sold needles for sewing machines. Now we're talking about industrial sewing machines. These are things that would have like 200, 300, 400, even 500 needles. And these needles weren't like you're thinking about, like sewing machine needles that you need, you see in grandma's sewing machine or even your wife's sewing machine. Shit. These were like, they were punched out steel, the pointy end and a little hook, and you would run thread for it. And that's how they made textiles. And all of that, I spent a summer driving around with him to all of these textile manufacturing plants All through North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, selling needles. And granted, there's no money in a needle, but these places order hundreds and hundreds of needles. They can break hundreds of needles a day. The needles get bent, there's that, whatever. But yes, we don't manufacture textile. All right. Cloth is not a manufactured item in the U.S. hardly anymore. Okay. When it comes to making TVs, whatever happened to Zenith and RCA? I know what happened because I can remember reading about it. But yeah, tariff is a temporary Band-Aid that may make things worse for us Americans. I think you're going to see some increases, Rudy. I really do. How will it affect the dollar? Good morning, Mike. Paul in the Philippines. How you doing, Paul? From UK. I returned in 4 weeks. Looking forward to my time in Negros. Have a nice day. You too, Paul. I hope you have a great trip. I really do. Living our lives, says Rudy Martin. Exactly. It will make things worse for the average working class America and those on fixed incomes. The entire supply chain increase costs to maintain their profits over people. Yeah, I don't disagree. Welcome to Planet Earth Dirt. It's basic economics, and we have also seen throughout global history, the last tariff war saw the U.S. come out on the losing end of the stick. We're just going to have to wait and see how tariffs impact all of this. Okay? I think we haven't seen how it's going to play out. But I want to know, is it going to, if you're an expat or planning on being an expat, do you think that this makes you worry about coming to the Philippines? Sam Bateman, whatever his name by his self-wrecked FTX coin. No, thank you. Phones are being hacked. Cold, hard cash for me. Now, Al, I would agree if everybody would report that income. I would agree if you would quit cheating the IRS and the state tax coffers and everything else. I would agree. But there's nobody out here that can tell me they know a business owner that accepts cash that reports every penny of it. I don't believe it, period. Strategic tariffs that are well thought out and paired with a plan usually work in the long term. Knee-jerk tariffs paired with a concept of a plan usually fair. You're right, Hector. You got to have a good plan. You really do. Let's hope that there is one. Ruby, good day, Mike. How you doing, Ruby? Social Security is a legal Ponzi scheme, private insurer, we went through that already. Tradesmen having been making money under the table since Moses was in short pants. You're right, Chippy. You're absolutely right. I had custom cabinets made for a couple of rooms in our Phoenix home. All cash. All cash. All right. Do you think they reported that? I don't think so. The money farming with phones. Minimum wage laws. There are minimum wage laws. I'm not sure what you're saying. Certainly, maybe you're saying the minimum wage isn't enough. Shit, the minimum wage, how does that compete on a world schedule? Ruby, some countries make for better quality products than the U.S., which is why people are willing to pay higher prices for them. I won't buy lower quality products just to buy American. I don't know if that's necessarily, I don't know that I can agree with that. I really and truly don't. I don't know of any technology that I haven't replaced. I don't know of any technology that I haven't replaced every 5 years. And I buy American and I buy foreign. Okay. I don't know how to really respond to that. I'm not sure. I think you could say it's hard to beat a Toyota. It's hard to beat a Honda. A Chevy, you got to be able to turn a wrench to keep some of those things running. But overall, I'm not sure. I really and truly am not. Gail says, I agree that we will eventually turn to a digital form of currency just as we use credit and debit cards. Of course, this will have to be on a global scale and strictly monitored for. Yeah, Gail, absolutely. I think eventually it will happen. But not in our lifetime, unfortunately. Amen to that. Concepts are always bad because they're never thought out. Barry says macroeconomic has a lot of factors: milk production, beef, chicken, you nailed it. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much to think about, so much to consider. I mean, Tim Dizak, hi, Tim. Thanks for dropping in. There's so much to think about. There is absolutely everything to think about here. I mean, we're talking about the ability to do more, but we just don't because of the cost. Well, will that change? I'm skipping the hellos to everybody. Hector Gupta, the U.S. can beat cheap labor by using technology to boost productivity and reduce costs, but it takes big investment. Flawed AI and social media ain't the kind of technology. You know what, Hector? You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. I don't think where social media brings a whole lot of productivity and advantages to the economic stage. I really and truly, other than as an advertising tool. My wife worked, living our life says, my wife worked in South Korea at a factory that made Lee's jeans, and they got paid pennies while those jeans sold for fortunes. So many major U.S. companies outsource. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I don't think any of it is made in the U.S. anymore. Al says, World War tariff. Every country in the world will tariff USA. You can't win that stupid war. You can. I disagree. America can become another isolationist country again, bring its manufacturing in-house, bring its farming in-house. Do you imagine, can you even conceive what would happen if the U.S. did not export the vast majority of wheat and corn across the world that it does? Oil, natural gas, just taking the American concept percentage out. Nah, you don't want to do that. You just don't want to do it. For Canada to avoid tariffs, it is very simple. Secure the border. The DEI government now refuses to comply. I'm a Canadian. Most of us agree with Trump. Yeah, I don't understand the big deal. Why securing the border? Why wouldn't we secure the border? I'm not against immigration by any way, shape, or means, but there is a legal way to do it. And is it fun? Is it time? Is it time? It takes time. It's not fun, but it's the legal way. And I am all for it. I don't know how else to say that. Living our lives. What happens to the average American worker and those on fixed incomes will have an equal effect on American immigrants in all of these countries. It very well may. And you know what? That's what we're talking about here. What effect is it going to have on expats? What effect? How will it be? How will it be that way? Al says W-2 1099 cannot cheat IRS. The rich can. You can cheat a 1099. If you own that business, you can cheat a 1099 so fast, it's not even funny. Now, when I say you can cheat it, what I mean is let me see the best way to say this. I have a friend, and that friend owned a business. And for all the years that he owned the business, every single time he bought cigarettes, gas, McDonald's, lunch, and quite a few other items, it was a business expense. It gets cheated nonstop. Okay? Put every government financial transaction and every politician's financial dealings on the blockchain. Expose all the dark money. Boy, wouldn't that be exciting? Well, Biden was pretty farked. Well, Leo, I got to be admitting, I think Biden had mental issues. John says, I was a manager for a bar and the owner there even cooked the books. Oh my God, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I just don't know anybody that reports it all. I really and truly do. In the 70s and the 80s, when bars were almost 90% cash businesses, it was gold mine. Even now, bars that are cash businesses, cash only represents 10, 15% of their business. The rest of it's by credit card. I bet you on the books, they only show 2 or 3%. Horace is sorry. Thought you skipped the Social Security screed. My bad. I don't know. Horace, I don't understand. I'm sorry. One thing about digital cash versus paper money. Yeah. Chippy was good. Since you deal the need to use politically hijacked term, I'll ask you this. Do you realize that DEI includes everyone that is not an able-bodied white male, right? I'm not sure. I don't know where that argument's going. So not much I can say. I can't afford to live. Craig says I can't afford to live in the USA, but I have no family back in the USA, so I plan on living the rest of my life and my wife's life in Mindanao, so we live here. Yeah, and Mindanao is lovely. We have a home in Mindanao. We have the condo here in Angeles City, but we have a home down in Mindanao, and it is lovely, beautiful down there. Absolutely beautiful. Depends on the product, Chippy says. Ruby, globalization works both ways to trade partners. Cheap labor for manufacturing products, however, for first world countries would benefit for selling mineral resources, technology, or military weapons. Well, yeah, that's true, Ruby, but are you gonna? People want to guard their technology. They don't want to sell military weapons to bad players. Okay, and I don't know. I mean, I do agree with you, Ruby. It is a global issue, and people can benefit all the way around. But at what cost? At what cost? Chibuska. Disabled workers fall under DEI. White women fall under DEI. DEI includes anyone had to be protected from unemployment discrimination. Well, but let me ask you a question. What is the problem when you can't hire the most qualified individual? And I don't care if they're a 3-armed purple people eater. Okay? If that's the most qualified individual, I don't want to see sex, race, religion come into play. I really and truly don't. So I have an issue with parts of this. Do I believe that sex, race, and religion should not play a part in it? Yeah. And it shouldn't play a part that stops other people. One thing about digital currency versus paper money is the banks take 3% of your wealth with every swipe. It's designed for the banks to get rich. But Michael, these would be government. You wouldn't put this with the bank. You wouldn't do that. The government would control this. We'd put the banks out of business. We don't need them. We don't need the damn banks. They need to be loan depots for people that want to buy houses and cars and stuff. Otherwise, screw them. The U.S. dollar is the world's currency. All countries agreed after World War II. If the U.S. destabilized world economy with idiot tariffs that will change, then we are foobarred. Well, better get ready for something. Bruce says, Mike, I tried to come up. It's not letting me on, so not sure why. I've got good. Is anybody else having a problem connecting to the live stream? Let me put the link back up and see. Maybe it didn't paste correctly. There we go. Now I have to go back to where I was. Chippy says, correct, but this Canadian government has expanded so much, it's not helping those who need it. I think every country, people in every country are going to say that, Chippy. I think that is, and I'm not saying there's something wrong with it, but I do believe that people in every country are going to say their government does not help those that need it. Michael, that's for the shareholders of the bank getting rich. Yeah. Robots don't pay taxes or buy clothing, food, cars, etc. No, they don't. And I wish we had more of them. I would love to see everything produced by robots in the U.S., tax it, and use that to have a society that doesn't have to work, to where you could enjoy your time being a full-time student all your life. You could enjoy your time doing the type of work that you have a passion for. It'll never happen. A utopian society is never going to ask. Let me ask who all wants to work in the farms picking agriculture products. Well, no, Bruce, but you know what could happen? America could do just what Canada does. They bring in seasonal workers for their crops. Their growth cycle, their growth seasons are much shorter and less frequent than in the U.S. They bring them in, they pay them well. They're more than willing to come in and work, and then they send them back. We could do that in the U.S., and we'd have plenty of people in other countries that would do it because they already do it. Chippy agrees some American products have no counterpart. Yeah, they really don't. Nike paid Michael Jordan tens of millions of more dollars than they paid all the workers combined, in the factories. Maybe it's possible. They paid them shitloads of money for sure. But what has that got to do? It only shows you that cheap labor is available. If they didn't break the law, they didn't break the law. If those people were willing to work for that, then they're willing to work for that. I'm just saying, I wish they would bring it in to the U.S. and tariffs may do that. Then you're rich. I don't know, Al. I'm not sure what you're talking about. You'll have to explain it. I get W-2 and 1099. They send it to its I'm not rich. Okay. I'm lost, Al. I really am, but hopefully you'll explain it. Bruce Davis, Americans are not going to go into those fields at the wage level of immigrants. No, they're not. So owners will increase costs if they increase wages. If the U.S. was founded on immigration and cheap labor. No, the world was founded. Now, come on. The world was founded on immigration and cheap labor. Okay? Let's get that straight. All right? The world was founded actually on free labor. There were slaves doing free labor in Africa long before a single slave was sent into the British Trading Company and to the U.S. and everything else. Okay? But times change. Things change. All right? You can't expect it to stay the same. It's these global migration pacts that were set up through the United Nations. Biden, Trudeau, and even the president in Mexico are socialists, and even the Vatican was involved. That I don't know about. I can't comment on things. Unlike other places, if I have some idea, I will talk about it. But if I'm totally lost on the subject, I'm not going to lie. I really and truly am. Al says, I used to be an auditor. You cheat. Then we base it on inventory and mark it up. Yeah. There's all kinds of ways, but there's so many ways to beat, all right, the system. Are Americans willing to work on agricultural farms, fish industry, or any hard manual labor? Some industries will be paralyzed. Well, no, Ruby, I disagree. First off, if you pay an American $40 an hour to pick strawberries, you'll have a line out the door. But you know what you'll also have? You'll have a smart guy design a freaking robot that picks those strawberries that has a return on investment that pays off in 18 months. Innovation. Innovation will drive it. Well, that's the truth, living our lives. I agree. I was just asking because the migrants were paying taxes. So if they're not criminals, then okay. If they're not in the country legally, they're breaking the law that makes them a criminal. I stand on that strongly. So what do you think about birthright citizenship? Let's talk about that. How do you feel that's going to impact people? Do you believe that just because you're born on U.S. soil, you're going to be entitled to U.S. citizenship and all that it entails? Yes, USA needs legal immigrants. Change the law to allow more people to come. Give them background checks, have criteria, allow manufacturers to... Yeah, that's the way it's done in Canada. I don't know if they do background checks. You know what? I don't know the entire hiring process. I know that the Canadian government works with farmers and they bring in immigrants. Ruby, we all know the ag market will fail, meat packing, roofing. I don't think so, Barry. I really don't. I think you'll find innovative ways. We as Americans have gotten lazy, not just lazy for manual labor. We've gotten lazy to produce the substitutes. And I think that will change. Al says, Trump wants billionaire tax cuts. The only way he can see is tariffs. And he don't care if the poor pays for it. Well, that's your opinion now. But that's the thing. Prior to affirmative action, it was not about the most qualified person. Now we see anyone that is not white being called a DEI hire. Again, politically hijacker term. Okay, I disagree with you there. And I'll tell you why. I don't disagree with the fact that there were a lot of racist, sexist hiring policies in the past. I believe that we've gotten smarter, and that if someone is the best qualified applicant, you should not hinder a company from hiring them. I don't care what color they are. Chippy says, excellent live stream, respectful, back and forth. Yeah, no, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Nobody is wrong or hateful here. We have a great group of subscribers and viewers. We really and truly do. We don't have to agree with each other, but we are very respectful of everybody's opinions. And they seem to be respectful of everybody else. When I trade, Horse says, when I trade my Bitcoin for equivalent goods and service, I pay no capital gains tax on the swap. That is how I paid for my new house. Yes, Horse, perfect example. Perfect example. No capital gains on that. I'm not going to say anything. Ruby, lots of Texas farmers have already said that they would start shutting down operations if they lost their immigrant workforce, including dairy farmers. So let them. Let them shut down. Are you saying that they can only support their industry with slave labor? Raise the price. Got to go. Keep up the great content. Really enjoyed your angle on things. Have a great day. Thank you very much, Planet Dirt. You have a great day. Tom and Amy in the Philippines. Folks are forgetting about all the tax revenue, including Social Security tax revenue that will be lost if they deport millions of undocumented aliens. There will be some. There will. I don't believe they pay nearly as much in taxes as they take out of the system in welfare, housing, healthcare, and everything that goes along with it. But you know what, Tom? It's going to take time to find that out. It is certainly going to take time. Can you explain why Trump is putting the biggest tariffs on our closest allies and not China at 10%? Doesn't fentanyl... You know what, Doug? I'm going to tell you, I have the same question. I don't understand why Canada gets a bigger tariff than China. China, who hacks everything. China, who has spies everywhere. China, who abuses human rights everywhere. China has all kinds of it's just so much bullshit. And yet he tariffs them much higher. Maybe he's waiting for Elon to move the rest of Tesla out before he applies it. I don't know. I wish I did, Doug. And if somebody in the chat knows why, please tell us. Ruby says Australia gives special working visas for, yes, there you go. Why can't we give special working visas for agricultural? Why can't we give special working visas for dairy? Why can't we give, when necessary, to documented tax-paying businesses and individuals? All right? I don't want to be giving working visas to people who are working for cash, not paying taxes, that the employer is not paying taxes, Social Security, etc. No. But if they are, then yeah. If robots made everything, the quality of products would be much better than man-made. It might be, Tim. Who knows? Living our lives. Now, seasonal workers would be a good thing, but would the U.S. actually pay them well based on the U.S. standards or the countries they come from standards? America is all about increased profits quarterly. Well, you know, I guess until we do it, we don't know. We have no idea. Gail says, at one time, the United States had slaves picking cotton in the South. Then they invented the cotton gin, and that replaced many of the slaves. Just an example. Yeah, they had slaves picking apples. They had slaves planting tobacco. Okay? It's all done with a cultivator and a tractor now. But you hit it on the head. Times change. So why does America want to go back to the time when it was great for some citizens? I don't think you can ever have a country or an economy that's great for everybody. There's never going to be a time and a place where every citizen in the country is going to be not just happy, but joyous. All right? Even content. It's not going to happen at all. Ask Ruby. Ruby's from Australia. Okay? Chippy lives on the Canadian border. Is everybody content in Australia? Is everybody content in Canada? Is everybody content in China? You're just not going to get everybody happy. Canada was perfectly fine allowing temporary workers for fish processing, crops, etc. It's these diploma mill colleges that cause problems. Yeah, I am so bullshit over the diploma mill colleges. Really and truly, I am. Apollo College, Phoenix College, these people that give a degree. I had a friend that, when I was getting my MBA, it took me 9 years. It took me 9 years of part-time, evening, sometimes in person, sometimes online, courses through a standard 4-year college, through a standard state university, not a great university either. This was a state university, okay, to get my MBA because I had to do it part-time. Now, I looked at, I think it was Phoenix. What do they call it? University of Phoenix, I think. I looked at University of Phoenix. And the way they worked it is you get put into groups and your grades come out of this group. So you would have a class of like 50 and they would have groups of 7 or 8 and everybody had to chip in. But then you would have people that wouldn't do shit and let the group carry them on. This DeVry University, although I know some DeVry techs, technically were very smart folks. So the diploma mills are a big deal. Absolutely. Hector says all Western goods sold in the Philippines have very high tariffs, ergo the very high prices. Does it benefit the Philippines? Hell no. Only the oligarchs and corrupt politicians benefit. Well, you can say that, though, Hector, about any country. Absolutely any country. Wow, 89 people in the room. That's a huge, huge number for this little channel. We thank all of you. All right, so only the oligarchs and the corrupt politicians. I can tell you, I don't know who benefits. I guess if you look at the people that own Landers, you look at the people that own S&R, you look at the people that own these major box stores that are selling Western goods, are there stockholders, shareholders, owners, oligarchs, and corrupt politicians? I don't know. I do not know. I just know this. Trying to find green olives can be a pain in the ass unless you're willing to pay good money. America's making a huge mistake with these tariffs. Inflation will rise. GD, I think inflation will rise. And I think then you'll see America do something to offset it. Free trade agreements are good economics. You know, GD, I gotta agree with you to an extent that I don't know enough about it. In other words, I would think that we would have a free trade agreement with Canada. They're our neighbor. They have always been an ally. There's just so many reasons why you would think. I'm going to put up another link and see if maybe this works. Somebody try this link and see if that works for coming into the live stream. But, I don't understand. I don't. I'm not understanding why we're putting a tariff on. I can't help but believe that the reason we're putting a tariff on Canada is far more than shutting down the border, or traffic incoming across the border. I didn't realize that traffic across our northern border was that big a deal. I only see small numbers. Somebody should Google that. How many people did they catch coming across our northern border, and put that in? I can't Google it right now. I think removing birthright citizenship is not the issue. We're all birthright citizens in North America. At one point in time, our families were immigrants, willing or forced. So if a pregnant woman illegally crosses the border, she is breaking the federal law. She's breaking the law of the United States. She's in violation of the Constitution of the United States, and she has a child. Is that child entitled to U.S. citizenship? Migrants legally cross the border 5 months pregnant, drop the kid, and they're American for life. Oh yeah, they've had entire apartment complexes in California that were raided, that were baby drops for Chinese. They would come over on a tourist visa, which they can do at 7 months pregnant when they're not showing that much, and they would sit there in that apartment complex for a fee, and then turn around, have that baby, and get deported for violating their visa. It's a big business. A lot of migrants, farm workers, are paid by production numbers, not by hours. Many make $25 plus an hour. I don't know, Michael. I have no idea, but we'll find out. The old saying, when America has a cold, the rest of the world catches the flu. I hope not. I do hope not. Yes, born in America, you're an American citizen. You can't change Constitution. Oh, but Barry, it says born in America. I can't remember the exact words, but you should go look it up. You have to be subject to its jurisdiction. And if you're an illegal immigrant, you are not subject to its jurisdiction. Trump could easily, he doesn't need Congress to change that. In Washington, the average annual salary for a migrant worker was $44,000. Wow, that's not bad. I mean, it's not like, $100K a year. Too many Chinese tourism companies setting up pregnancy tourism. Yeah, Mike, that's the word I was looking for. In the U.S. to gain birthright citizenship for the kids. A loophole that needs to be abated. Chippy says, of course, it sounds like BS as a YouTube commenter, but I mix with high levels of Canadian government. Their ignorance is astounding. I think ignorance among high-level politicians and government workers is astounding, and it doesn't surprise me. Phil, there you go. Have a nice day. Find an American other than Central Americans to pick fruit and vegetables. $40 an hour. For $50 an hour, Phil, would your son pick peaches? Think about that. China is the source of the drugs. Sad to say. Yeah, Barry. These farmers openly admit that they are aiding and abetting illegal immigrants, yet aren't expecting any repercussions. We have agricultural visas available done through agencies. Again, you're in an area that I'm not familiar with, Gail. I'm sorry. I think he's working on China slowly and carefully. I agree, Bubba. I do believe that he's being far more cautious with China than just about everybody else. I mean, look what he told Venezuela. You know, Bipolar says China is tariffed less because the U.S. depends on their products more than Canada. Now, we do need rare earth metals is the one thing that would be difficult for us, and China has those. Mark Main, thanks for joining. It would be wise for the U.S. to seek a closer relationship with the Philippines, including easier visas to help compete against how China is aggressively expanding business into the Philippines. You know, Mark, I think that, the Philippines is a developing country, and they're not going to turn away any money that they don't see as ugly money. They're still doing deals with China for business. They're still doing deals with Korea. They're still doing deals with Vietnam, Japan, the U.S. Would it be different? I don't know. Will you see a change in the visa system? I don't know. Do you think that this will bring the Philippines and the U.S. closer together and we'll see a difference in the visa system? I'm not sure. Bruce says, I've been asking the same question. Why are we putting tariffs on allies as a joke? It is. I don't understand it. There has to be something I don't get. Tariffs are to the distributors and not the manufacturers. Distributors buy the containers and ship them to the buyers. Somebody along the way has to pay, and it's not going to be the seller in China. How it works from there on, I do not exactly know. Canada and Mexico tariff is over the open border issues, letting people pour in to the USA. I live in a state that borders Canada. Do you think, Michael, that they're pouring in over the northern border? Chippy says Trump loathes Trudeau and his cabinet. It's payback from his first term. I hope it's not. I really, truly hope he's not that vindictive. Mike, bottom line for me, times are tough. Take care of your own first. As Ruby says, in Australia, people get to travel as seasonal travel workers, visa win-win. Yeah, I don't see why the U.S. doesn't do that. I really don't. And I'm assuming that while they may not get paid, white collar wages, they're getting paid reasonable. It's easier for Trump to hide ill-gotten wealth sourced from Chinese CCP officials and their elite than from Canada. Oh, come on, Hector. You really think, if anybody's hiding ill-gotten wealth from China, it would have been Biden and his family. Come on. I don't know, Hector. You and I are usually on the same page, but I'm not buying that one. Canada is our friends, and just to shit on them, I've got lots of good Canadian friends. Yeah, Bruce. I don't understand why he's doing it. I think that excuse of northern migration issues, I think that's overblown. I don't get it. Michael Atta is 100% correct. Brewmeister, how you doing, Brew? Nice to see you. Thanks for dropping in. Woodrow Wilson was the last isolationist tariff president, aka the Great Depression. I didn't say it worked out. I really and truly did not. And I don't believe in isolationism. I think isolationism is bad for every country. But I also believe that there's a point in time, a couple, 3, 4 years of isolationism, maybe just 2 or 3, that can be very beneficial to a country. Hi, Mike. I believe China already has 25% tariff in place. The 10% increase to 35%. At least that's, you know what? I think you're right, Paul, but I didn't look it up, so I don't know. I should have maybe considered looking that up. Rich are the only ones getting rich and old politicians. Nah, Bruce, I can't agree with that. Zuckerberg's not old. Okay? Bezos doesn't qualify as old in my book. Okay? I mean, these are young guys that made millions. Mark Cuban made millions young. Nah, I think that America is still the greatest land of opportunity. Living our lives. Y'all have a good one. Got to head out to SNR. Take care of living our lives. Thank you so much. Have a good trip to SNR. Green and black. All we do have a trade agreement. It's called the North American. Yeah, we do. We do have a trade agreement, a free trade agreement. Why are we putting out tariffs? I don't get it. Now, I would have canceled that free trade agreement with Mexico long ago. I mean, the people that poured over the border in the last 4 years, crazy. Damn. Green and black olives can be found in any SM supermarket. But they're usually just the little. I want those big, fat green olives stuffed with pimento, big, fat chunks of pimento. Those are harder to come by. The shippers and distributors all have their hands in the cookie jar when it comes to imports. If you buy products from the Philippines, in the States, they are more expensive than, well, sure, it's imported. It's going to be. There's no doubt about that. Speaking of migrants crossing Canada, there's a street in the U.S. where one side of the street, the other side is Canada. You can literally step across. No border. I think Chippy lives there. For some reason, I'm trying to remember. Free trade agreements are good when currency and eligible workforce are not manipulated. I don't know. I just want to know how these changes may impact me and perhaps you as expats in a foreign country. 14th Amendment applied to children of slaves freed under the 13th Amendment. It has been horribly abused. Yes. I think Trump is just using the tariffs to bring Canada to the table to negotiate. I think so too, just Mike. I really do, Mike. I think there's more to it, and I think it's got to play out. I heard was southern border and didn't hear a lot. Didn't hear a lot on all the people going through Canada. I'm not sure the amount. I don't know. Living our lives, pregnant women in 7 or 8 months from Korea, China, will travel to North America. Sure. They're baby tourism. They come here just so that they can get that U.S. citizenship for their kid, and then they do family migration. Trump can't change. No, but he can push and say, this is how I interpret it, Bruce. This is how I interpret it. And it specifically says that a child born of a woman subject to the jurisdiction, which means in the country, they are a citizen in the country. No, Al cannot change the Constitution. He cannot. He may be able to change how parts of it are interpreted. That's the problem. My kid would never work in a place that didn't have air conditioning. Phil. Okay. All right. I guess we have to kind of, maybe we'd have to raise the rate, Phil. China is imploding. No need to interject. Don't believe MSM. China's having a huge horror problem. All right, so Ruby says, if rich business people are taxed accordingly and not get subsidized or work on tax loopholes, then all government will prosper. Most rich people hire the best accountant to pay less tax than they should. They do. I'm not rich, and I have a hell expensive good accountant. I want to pay the least amount legally required. And so should you. That's why they make those quote unquote loopholes. They're there to be used. You're right, Chippy. Korean ladies have the babies here and they don't have to serve in the military at 18. Korea has a draft. That is another valid point. September 10th, 2024. Unauthorized crossings to the U.S. northern border have surged due to an influx of Indian migrants. Many leave Canada and search for... Okay, but Michael, did they have any numbers? I mean, does it compare to 250,000 a month, $250,000 a month in the southern border? Trump isn't exactly hiding his wealth. No, Travel, he is not. And neither does he hide his prejudices. Trump got $3 billion from Saudi Arabia. They ain't trying to hide it. I don't know where Trump got $3 billion from Saudi Arabia. Did he personally get $3 billion from Saudi Arabia? Billion from Saudi Arabia? Or did one of his companies? Did did they write Donald Trump a check for $3 billion bucks? I'm not sure about that. We're setting tariffs to even the playing field, Blue Wave says. Products from Mexico and Canada don't get taxed, but U.S. products do. Also, China 10% is added to the existing. Yes, okay. Paul already pointed that out. Ruby said, in Australia, workers are paid according as per minimum wage, regardless of local or seasonal visa workers. Is the minimum wage a living wage in Australia? That'd be interesting. Bruce, check out tariffs, taxes on both sides of the border. U.S. taxpayer is already subsidizing Canada's economy. All right. Yes, he is, but Trudeau disrespected him, went behind his back. The thing was very bad. Yes. Yeah. He snatched up that chick, the CEO from Hawaii, when Trump was all set to snatch her up himself and just grill her ass. Yes, indeed. I remember that now. And she ended up going back. I think Canada held her for a while, but they ended up sending her back. The people who took down the World Trade Center and the Pentagon came into the United States through Canada. I'm just saying. I think there's bad people everywhere. I think it's hard to categorize people, but I do understand that. But at the same time, the people that took down the World Trade Center, 75% of them went to flight school 10 miles down the road from where I lived, Deer Valley Airport. So should we blame an American flight school for training them? Boosted by a surge in foreign migrant border, Michael's good. Thank you, Michael. New York State pie has rebounded from its post-pandemic lows, according to the updated census. boosted by a surge in foreign migrant crossings. So it still doesn't give us any numbers, though, Michael. Can you look and see if you can find some actual numbers? Capital gains are taxed less than regular income, so buy some Trump meme coins while the price is low as it crashed. The price isn't low. Right now, the Trump meme coin is like below whale shit. Whale shit is actually a little higher than the meme coin. That was the stupidest thing ever. Canceling NAFTA with Mexico would have an outsized effect on fresh produce and the automobile. It would. It would. But you know something? I'm not sure I would feel bad about it. We've been telling them and telling them and telling them. And if the auto manufacturers don't want to come to terms with it, and if the avocado eaters don't want to come to terms with it, and whatever other vegetables are being outsourced out of Mexico, everybody's known. Either fix the problem or, by God, we'll do without. I have a bridge minute drive. Exactly. I knew Chippy was close. Dickie Spaz. I haven't seen Dickie in a long time. Trump is absolutely killing it, taking care of business, kicking butt, and taking names, doing what should have been done for decades. There'll be a short-term pain for a long-term gain. I certainly hope there'll be a long-term gain, Dickie. I really do. Asian expat, what's your credibility on such an issue? Are you wanting to know my credibility on which issue? Tell me which one. And are you talking about me or are you talking about somebody else? Trump seems to be pro-retiree safety, so I feel he's more likely to make it easier to retire, including doing this in the Philippines. I'll be surprised if he makes it more difficult for expats. I don't think he'll purposefully make it more difficult for expats. I think he may make it more difficult for people to become expats. In other words, instead of being able to get partial early retirement at 62 and a half or 63, whatever it is now, it's going to go to 66. These numbers are just off the cuff of my head. Okay. It'll go to 67. People will have, I don't know. We'll see. Presidents in other countries are literally telling Trump to go F himself. People don't like bullies. Oh, you're right. They are. Brazil's saying F yourself. Everybody else saying F yourself. Fine. People tell me F you, Mike. Okay? Doesn't hurt my feelings. I don't think it hurts his. Trump, be free. Trump calls them tariffs. Other countries call them VAT, value-added tax. Some countries, for example, use both. Look at the Philippines. Yes, indeed. Indeed. Dickie says 85% of the farm produce workers in California have U.S. work permits. They're bussed back and forth on a daily basis and pay U.S. taxes. Perfect. Absolutely perfect, Dickie. And Dickie's correct. I can remember when I lived in Arizona and I had an office in Yuma, I would always see these bus loads early in the morning, 4 or 5 in the morning, coming out to the fields, and bus loads going back across the border at Algodones or San Luis in the evenings. Look it up. It's well published. Oh, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt for a minute that other countries tell Trump that. Who cares? I don't have to live. I personally, I don't care what the president of Nicaragua thinks about Trump. I don't care what the president of Nigeria thinks about Trump. I don't care. What I care about is, will the prime minister of the UK continue to do trade with the United States? Will Spain, France, Germany, Australia, Japan, Thailand? Okay, sure, plenty of people do. Do I give a shit about Colombia, Nicaragua, Honduras? No, I don't. I don't give a shit about them. I don't live there, don't own property there, could care less about them. Barry lived and worked on Korea 8 years. Rich kids don't go to military or get cushy postings. I don't know, Chippy. You know, man, those couple of K-pop stars have had to go and do Korean mandatory 18-year-old draft. So I guess not all of them get out of it. Hello, Mike. Hope you're well. Hey, Wandering Doc, are you living in Malaysia now? Are you basing yourself out of Malaysia now, Doc? I believe some folks need to stop watching CNN, MSNBC, or other. I'll tell you, Brent, it's not just that. I will tell you again, I saw a thumbnail, okay, by a guy that's got like 600,000 subscribers. And his thumbnail was this picture of Putin shaking his head saying, China imposes 100% tariff, stuns Trump is speechless. That was this guy's thumbnail. Now, I will also say this. It disappeared about 2 hours later because I was going to go back and screen cap that and show it to you because I have a big problem. We see these there are companies, there are guys out there that do these U.S. defense videos, and they're using footage that was made years ago, and they're full of shit, and that's all there is to it, and they're getting hundreds of thousands, and it's total misinformation, just like that guy was. So yeah, Brent. Ruby, yes, minimum wage is set by the Australian government as a living wage and always reviewed regularly. Ruby, can you give us an idea? Do you happen to know what the minimum wage in Australia is? Just Mike's take. As a federal employee, if I accept the delayed resign offer, you may see me and many other feds vacation in the Philippines in the next 7 to 8 months. Well, come on over, Mike. There's nothing wrong with chasing your dreams. Yeah, blame the flight school. You can't blame the flight school. Brent, I agree 100%. Students said we don't need to learn to land. Yeah, that would be your first indication of a poor student or that there's a problem. One of the things that the United States needs to keep in mind is that China is deep in Central and South America, and any voids that are left open to the Chinese will explode. Yes, I mean, don't they already have like some sort of an agreement, I think it's with Venezuela, to buy all of their crude oil? And Venezuela is like really rich in crude oil. So we'll see. Horace, I'm taking a at-seat attitude. We'll all see how it should go. Yeah, Horace, I agree. You can't speculate on what you don't know. It's hard to do that. I think right now your ratings are higher. I don't think I get any. My ratings are squat. Look, this is a hobby for us. We talk about the things that excite us, the things that interest us, how our life works. All right. We apologize to those people that don't agree, but at least here you can disagree. You're not going to get banned for disagreeing. You're not going to get kicked out and booted for disagreeing. Now, if you start attacking people, we might put you on a timeout. Barry, I would like to see Cuba open for American businesses. The whole island is falling. Plenty of money to be made. Yeah, Cuba's beautiful. I've been there. we used to fly, if I can remember, we used to take from Miami to, actually, we used to do Fort Lauderdale to St. John, and then an island hopper to St. Thomas, and then from there, an island hopper to Cuba. And they wouldn't even stamp our passports, because we theoretically weren't supposed to do that. Mike, what do you think about the flat tax? Do away. I love that idea. I absolutely love it. If you can get people to quit being corrupt with cash, that's where that takes a big hit. All right. I told the story earlier. I was remodeling the pool in our backyard in Arizona. The final quote after we negotiated on the waterfall and the Pebble Tech and everything, resurfacing and everything else, was $40,000. I said, I got $31,000 sitting in a drawer over there in the house. He said, fine. Paid him cash, and there's no doubt in my mind he did not declare that. So if you can solve that part of the problem, for sure. Here's the other thing I believe in. Part in Phoenix has got surrounding suburbs, Peoria, Glendale, whatever. Food is not, if it comes out of a grocery store, food is not taxed in the city of Peoria. And I believe that's a reasonable thing. And I might add, one of my favorite grocery stores, this little Mexican grocery store in Peoria. Oh, their carne asada was the best. They had it already marinated, ready to go. Great stuff. The most up-to-date figures from the CBP recorded 189,402 encounters at the northern border in the year 2023. So 189,000 in 2023, a 250,000 a day in 2024. I don't think the big problem, seems to me, if we're going to put a tariff on Canada of 10% for not securing the northern border, we should put a tariff on Mexico of 3 times that or 10 times that. All right, since the numbers coming across are 10 times. Yuma, we used to go to the Marine base. We always felt sorry for the guys. Yay, Barry. Yeah, I treated a lot of Marines from the Marine base. Absolutely. Wandering Doc, I'm still looking currently in Vietnam for a couple of months, and then I'll go to Thailand. There you go. I just spent 45 days in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Very clean country with good food, peaceful people, medical facilities are top notch. Nice. K-pop military service is just for the show. Trust me. Chippy, I don't know. I really don't. All I know is that I saw an article about this K-pop kid that was going to have to go do his military service. To me, Kuala Lumpur was like living in the U.S. city in the 2000s, but paying a quarter. Nice. Wow. Watch your yeah, for sure. The market's going to take, I agree, GD, that Monday is going to be an ugly day for the market unless something changes over the course of the weekend. I have an hour drive to catch a fishing charter on the Gulf of America. Peace out. Hey, Horace, have a great catch. So let's see here. What is going this time of year? Are you bottom fishing or trolling? Let us know how it goes, Horace. Okay? Take care. Cuban Missile Crisis, 19th Castro brother is still alive, so he'll know. Yeah, but Raul is old. I mean, come on. Minimum wage equivalent to U.S. $16 an hour plus all workers get 12% paid to their retirement funds. Nice. Okay, so Ruby, let me ask you another question. If I am an accountant or an engineer and I have a job full time, do I contribute to my retirement mandatory, or is it a choice? Is the company going to contribute, or is the government going to contribute? I want to know, what's the difference between Social Security in America and in Australia? And in Australia, your pensions are means tested also, aren't they? I think. To me, the play is, if you're going to have kids with your Filipina, have her deliver the child in Brazil or Argentina, so the three of you will get very strong passport, 160 plus countries, visa free. I got to disagree with you, Doc. I'm sorry. I want my kid to be a U.S. Well, wait. My kid would be able to have would be able to have dual citizenship. So that's a big possibility. Living long-term in the Philippines is tough with the available food choices, quality, and lack of walkability. I would do it for a few years, but maybe not 10. Chippy, I was not impressed with Cuba. Poor food. You know what, Chippy? We're talking about in the late 70s, early 80s. And I was a broke student. And all I wanted to do was have a roof over my head, eat something, and go diving. And that's, it was definitely not resort style stuff. Raul Castro, 94 years old. We do 3 business with Vietnam. We fought for the Chinese in Korea. Yeah. Trudeau is on his way out, so maybe the incoming will sing a different tune. I like the 51st state. I don't know, Gail. I don't want to see any country become subjugated. Okay? I don't think Canadians want to be Americans. I really and truly don't. I could be wrong. In Korea, by age 25, you have 3 choices: join the military, join the police force, or go to jail. And that's a fact. And Phil used to live there, so I agree. I don't know what was said that was funny, but okay. GD, so I should sell risk assets in my Roth IRA for now. I'm not saying anything. Look, never look at us for relationship advice or financial advice. Never. Okay? You need to hire competent people in both arenas. There you go. Yes, on the books. A doctor may say you're unfit. Yeah. I mean, it's happened. So, GD, if Ruby is gone, the company must contribute 12% of whatever you're paid. You can top it up, or salary sacrifice, and gives you great tax advantages taken out before taxes. But it's not mandatory, right, GD? Does that mean that that there are what would you say are the percentage of people in Australia receiving a pension that never contributed a penny towards that pension? All right, that every dollar they made, they kept. Ask Ruby, I believe healthcare tax is high in Australia. I don't know. Dickie says, what happened to Andy? Rumor has he's chained up in Tim K's shed after being violated. You know, Dickie, I have no idea. I hope he's okay, but I don't know. I can't give you a decent answer. I really and truly can't. Maybe you should call Tim K and find out. Ask him, is it satisfying? Doc, I don't know what Roth IRA. Yes, you can go to the U.S. and get your child U.S. citizenship anytime. That would be an addition. Yeah, that's what I was saying. It took me a minute to think about that. As long as that option didn't disappear, I would want that. Get an index fund. Yeah. So Ruby says employers are mandated to pay 12% of your wage. Same thing that who just said that? Hold on. Where'd it go? Was that Sunset? I don't know. I lost it now. Okay. But employers are mandated to pay 12%. Employees are not required to contribute, but you can get a tax subsidy if your salary sacrifice tax set at 15% compared to normal. Okay. So now my next question is so what percentage of people actually do that? Do you think? I guess that would be a real hard question to answer. Would you say getting married in the Philippines is relatively not that risky for a foreigner? No, I would not say that. I would not say that. What I would say is that you can get married in the Philippines if you're an American. I don't know how it is in other countries. You can get married to a Filipina, and you can then file for divorce in America. And she doesn't have to be present. You don't even have to be a resident of the state. So it is possible for that to happen. I'm trying to remember. There's one state that doesn't require you to be a resident to file. There's several states that require only 30 days residency, and then you can file for a divorce. And the Philippines will recognize that divorce. Wandering Doc already says Geo can get divorced in the U.S., have that recognized for him, but not give the papers to Maya. He has to. He has to. It would be in his best interest, let's put it like that, to make an attempt to let Maya know that she's being divorced. Dickie's asking, doesn't the Aussie government restrict your pension if you reside out of the country? I don't know. That would be a question for Ruby or Sunset Travel. People can keep 100% of what they earn. It's the employer, GD says, who pays the 12%. See, so in the U.S., 3.5% of our gross wage goes to Social Security. We have no choice on that. No choice. And the employer must contribute another 3.5%. We have no choice. So for those people that think the U.S. government gives us a pension, bullshit. You're full of shit. You don't understand the system at all. We put that money in, and the vast, vast majority of us will never collect more than we paid. And certainly, even more than that vast majority will ever collect anything near what they would have made if they had just put that money into a decent index fund 40 years back, 1 month at a time. Wandering Draw. Then Maya could never date anyone romantically after that. Oh, okay. I mean, could he? Yeah, could it be a secret? I guess it could. Who would want to be that vindictive? I mean, I don't like ex-wife number 2. Ex-wife number 2 was not a good wife. Great mom, but not a good wife. With that being said, who would want to be that vindictive? I couldn't even be that vindictive. Where is Mike? Last I heard, Mike was in Florida, but I have no idea otherwise. GD, Ruby, snap. Big Boss, Herbie, when do you take a trip? We are looking at a couple of different options right now. I think we've pretty much determined we're going to wait until after the elections because of checkpoints police, violence, all the shit that goes along with elections here in the Philippines. So Arlene might be listening right now. She'll send me a message. But that would be like, I think the elections are in May. But I could be wrong. But now Arlene and I are looking at something else. So I'm not going to say anything now because we're just going to have to kind of wait and see. Aged pensions as funded by the Australian government is means tested. So if you exceed that aged pension, would only rely on your retirement. So if you exceed that, no aged pension would. Oh, she's listening. God, she's sneaky. Yes, May. She sends me a WhatsApp and it pops up on my screen. Sneaky, honey. Sneaky. So if you exceed that, no aged pension, and would rely on your retirement fund. So, okay. Paul says, pulled this off the internet. Canada, federal and provincial governments haven't transparently reported how much they really provide in fossil fuel subsidies. From what we know, it's at least, and he'll continue that later. Roth IRA is the shiznits if you're disciplined with. You're absolutely right, Dickie. Roths, I wish they had Roth IRAs when I was young. Normal workers rarely contribute voluntarily to a pension plan. It's a nice perk on the job description, but rarely do you need to match. Now, you see, I had Social Security I had to contribute to. I had a 401k that I maxed out, max contribution every year. And then when I owned the company, I had a defined benefit plan, a highly discriminatory defined benefit plan. Okay? And when I say highly, I always felt it, always within the law. I mean, we had an administrator that administered it and everything else. But if somebody can quickly Google, when did IBM get in trouble with its pension plan? If you could Google that and let me know. So here's what happened. IBM, it used to be in the olden days, you had companies that would have real pension plans. And these pension plans for the highly compensated were putting away shitloads of money, whereas the rank and file were getting dribbles. They outlawed that. IBM is who got really taken to task on it. They got beat up horribly on it, okay? Paid big fines. I can't remember when that happened. I want to say it was in the 70s maybe. Anyways, we had a defined benefit plan. So on top of paying Social Security, on top of putting money in my 401k, we had a defined benefit plan. And just to give you an overview, okay, it was a true pension with a guaranteed return. So we said we were going to guarantee that everybody that's in this plan is going to make 8% or 7.5% per year. And those of us that are highly compensated, this is what we're going to get. And then we had to include a small percentage of valuable rank and file to get that same percentage, although they didn't get the same amount. And then the regular rank and file, they got money pretty much like a matching 401k. So we were able to put away crap loads, absolute crap loads of money. And man, if I'd have had a Roth IRA back in those days, holy shit, I'd be rich. Normal Okay. Got cut off part 2. Canadian 4.8 billion per year subsidized energy to the USA. I don't know, Paul. I really don't. I do not. I just don't have it. So I wouldn't know. Medicare is 2.5 cents added tax if you exceed the minimum salary. Okay, Ruby, thank you. If you choose to get divorced in the United States and it's no fault state, would you be required to give half of everything you have? I don't know, Gail. Certainly you're not required. Okay. I got divorced in Arizona, which is a no fault state. And while I gave a shitload, it wasn't half. But then again, she got far more than she deserved. Way more than she deserved. Oh, that was terrible. I hope my daughter's not watching this. Because her mother really is a great mom. Terrible wife. U.S. Social Security is between 6 and 7%, like employee, same amount from the employer. Wow. Man, that shows you how long since I've had to pay that or had those things. So 6.5%, 6, 7%. Tim, if you go to Guam for 7 days, you can get divorced in less than a month. So will Guam, I didn't know that, Tim, Guam will issue a divorce on a mixed, on another country? U.S. Social Security FICI tax now at 6.2 for each employer and employee. Wondering Doc, couldn't agree. Social Security and FICA is a scam. It is. It is. But yet in turn, Doc, I know. It just hurts every month watching them take that, don't it? I don't receive Social Security. I saved religiously and grew my 401k and matching funds to be able to retire comfortably here in the U.S. I bought an annuity to level out risk and manage the rest index fund. But Hector, you don't receive Social Security because of age? You're not old enough to receive it yet? 6.2% employee share for Social plus 6.2. Yeah, so it's changed. And you know what? It's been 15 years. Maybe I got the numbers wrong. I could have been wrong. Wondering, no, Maya's having interview with her Dumagetti vlogger friends, and they're not being nice to Gio at all. I don't get involved in that drama. I really and truly don't. Not that it's wrong. Okay. I could care less about Gio. I could care less about any guy who leaves his kids in the U.S. for many years without child support and still can't prove he ever paid it, right? I have no respect for him whatsoever. None. All right. So now he then has Maya, which was less than a year, I think, that they dated, or right at a year. Who cares? I got no idea. Okay, well, I'm being corrected nonstop here. Yeah, I guess things have changed, or I just remembered it incorrectly. She is not respecting and treating Gio well at all. If I was him, I would not give her any papers. Well, now there's probably some reasonableness to that, Doc. I mean, if she's being an utter because then you're ruining her life forever. I don't know if I could go that far. The current tax rate for Social Security is 6.2% for the employer, 6% for the employee. If you're talking Medicare tax. If you see the level of disrespect that she showed Gio after their breakup, you'd see. I don't watch him. I don't watch Maya. I don't watch these women in Dumagetti that are bloggers. I'll see one once in a while, and it's like in her thumbnail. Man, can I see down her shirt? Let me watch that for a minute. I'm just kidding. My point is, I don't watch them, and I don't watch Gio. So I don't. There you go. Have a nice day. It's funny how YouTubers that accused other YouTubers of wrongdoing have all disappeared. I wonder why. Because nobody is without sin, Phil. That's why. Diggy Spaz, Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. Yeah, you could call it that. For my LLC that gets paid my contractor radiology wages, I'm still trying to decide between sole propriety and an S Corp. Take a hard look at that S Corp, Doc. You may have some huge benefits when it comes to having a pension plan that's highly discriminatory in that S Corp, especially, because you don't have employees. Total collect is 13 up to approximately first 175. Okay. The age of retirement in the United States was originally set just below the average life expectancy. People are living longer, and that messes with the algorithm. Yeah, but they're not, you know what? It's adjusted. They adjust how much, and if they'd quit borrowing the money in Social Security, there wouldn't be a problem. Eat balut solves a lot of problems, Leo. I don't know. Arlen had a hankering for balut the other night, but I said, nah, we're going home. The average Social Security recipient at the 6 to 8 year mark has received more than they ever paid in. That might be true for the average. I paid the maximum. I capped out on my Social Security for 44 years. It's going to take more than 6 to 8 years. It actually turns out that the filing as a sole proprietorship and doing a cash balance plan may work out best rather than S Corp or CBP or solo. Cash balance plans are good too. You know what? Don't listen to me. Get a good accountant, because I haven't messed around with that stuff and stayed abreast of it in 15 years. I have a defined benefit. I pay 12% from gross. It's lifetime, golden handcuffs, they say. Yeah, it can be. Defined benefit plans, depending on how they're put together. IBM changed its pension plan, and I was working there at the time. I thought it was in the 70s or 80s that they got in trouble for it. Okay. In Australia, we have free medical, so no need for medical insurance. Wow. Must be nice. Do you guys think Trump will finish his term? I think he will. Unless something dreadful happens. Many business owners who didn't incorporate and make themselves an employee didn't pay into the system unless they have 40 quarters before they started their business. Then perhaps they would be good. It's possible. It's very possible. Always pray for the president regardless. It's a tough job. Yeah. Certainly you don't wish anything dreadful happens to anybody. Hector says, Mike, I work for a local government agency as an exempt employee, opted out, just maxed out. Wow, I didn't know you could opt out, Hector. I had no idea that you could opt out. Okay. Were you an independent contractor the whole time? I don't know. For 33 years. Wow. Tariffs, Zenith, TVs, Schwinn, bikes. I remember them. No thanks. What, Gray? Come on. The first big console TV. I can remember if you wanted a good TV, it would be a Zenith. The big console that my parents had was a Zenith. The first color TV I bought was a Zenith. Then I upgraded to a Sony Trinitron. Okay. Schwinn bikes. I had one. I had a Schwinn bike. So, well, I guess I just don't see people that worried. I don't think people are that worried. You know, it's 2 hours now. We started at 9, it's 11, 2.5 hours. Big. Wow. All right. And we, at one time, we had close to 90 in the room. Gray says, tariffs stunted the growth of the Philippines, a lack of automobile infrastructure, highways, parking, yada, yada. They'll never recover. Oh, they'll, you know what, Gray? Not in our lifetime, maybe. But, you know, sooner or later, they'll have to clean it. They'll have to wait for all the biodegradable trash to rot. But, you know, everybody makes mistakes, that's for sure. Those big wood cabinets, yeah. Man, my parents' TV was huge. Screen wasn't, but the damn TV was. Can't opt out. That was changed in 87. Crossley made nice console TVs back in the day. Yep. Yeah, things have changed. The things that we've seen change has been amazing. It really has. Look, if you're watching this on replay, please do consider subscribing, hitting the thumbs up. All right, we'd certainly appreciate it. Gail says nothing is free, including medical. Someone's paying for it through higher taxes. Bernie Sanders has been pushing it for years in the United States, and it just won't happen because of Big Pharma. Big Pharma is a problem, but Big Pharma is not why it won't happen. Big Pharma would love to see it happen. All right? It's the insurance companies. You see, if you get universal health care in the U.S., okay, people don't know this, but what is the most efficient government office in the United States? It's the Social Security Department. Okay? It has the least overhead with the most money flowing through. Now, what about universal health care? Could you do it? Medicare is very, very efficient. You know who doesn't want to see universal Medicare? Blue Cross Blue Shield doesn't want to see it. United Healthcare doesn't want to see it. Aetna doesn't want to see it. They would be shut out. And guess what? If you go to the top 100 companies in the United States, in the top 20, there are going to be a plethora of insurance companies. That's who doesn't want to see universal health care. Medicare, all right, Big Pharma would love to see universal health care because all of the people that can't buy their cheap drugs would be getting them for free. Pharma's not going to supply it for free. They're going to sell it to the government, and the government's going to give it out. Universal health care, I'm telling you, Wandering Doc and I could probably argue about universal health care. I would love to see universal health care. I am so over it. But it is what it is. I upgraded from a Zenith to a Curtis Mathis. Oh, you went to that high-end stuff, Tom. Wow. Curtis Mathis, you had to actually go to some specialized. You didn't pick up one of those at Kmart, all right? I don't even think you could buy those at Sears. Louis Lemons, do the doctors and nurses in Australia work for free? To Ruby in an earlier live chat, you corrected that by saying that it comes out of taxes. Well, of course it comes out of taxes. Everything comes out of taxes, okay? Everything comes out of taxes. if the government supplies a service, it comes from, it's funded by taxes. Unless they've got a sorry store and they're selling chips to pay for it, I don't think so. Tim, take care, everyone. I thought Curtis Mathis TVs were top of the line. They were. They absolutely. Curtis Mathis was that's like expensive rich people stuff. Man, not for peons like us. I mean, Zenith was like high end. You were the talk of the neighborhood if you had a Zenith or a Sony Trinitron. But you had a Curtis Mathis, man, you were living in the big neighborhood. Lewis, they get paid good wages, and definitely no one works for free. Doctors and nurses get paid from the government funds. There you go. Hector, you can still opt out for certain state pension plans. Example, Colorado Para Program. Yeah, when you start to get into these weird state pension plans that allow you to opt out, you're in totally unfamiliar territory for me. Totally. Canadians claim free health care is so great. Long wait times. You're paying massive taxes. You know what, Chippy? I'll tell you a story. In I want to say it was 1990, 1991, something like that. Okay. There were over 200 MRI units in the United States. In the entire country of Canada, there were 7. So a guy got smart and he set up a private MRI imaging business. Literally, I guess it was in Michigan or something like that, right across the border. Literally, you go across a bridge, you're in the U.S. He was like 100 yards down. And he made a fortune because people were waiting a year to get an MRI back then. Where does the government get their funds? Well, get them from taxes. I grew up with a 25-inch Curtis Mathis. It was expensive back. You bet it was. Absolutely. That was high-end stuff. Lewis, people pays Medicare levy tax based on your tax when you lodge your tax return. So when, Ruby, when you do your annual tax returns, does it say, you know what, you were obligated to pay this much towards your Medicare tax, and you exceeded it, so you owe nothing, or you didn't meet it, so you owe something? Is that how it works? We have a moron in charge. This will end badly. I don't know about that. Mike, and you were always able to set your working TV on top of your Yes, Mike. Yes, you're right. You know what? And if you had a third TV, because you had 2 non-working TVs, you could turn that into almost a coffee table. Old Sony Trinitron TVs have value today with vintage gamers. Really? Jeez. Let the healing begin, Dickie. You know what? Do you call him a moron, or just do you say, admittedly, his mental facilities left him long ago? Be Free, great name for a retirement system. Para, which means money in Tagalog. Yes, it is. I failed to say that it was a county ordinance, not a federal law. Mike. Yes. So Ruby says, yes, it's added automatically based on your taxable income. So are you saying you don't pay a Medicare tax until you file your annual tax return? That it doesn't happen throughout the course of the year? Is that what happens? I would think they'd want to get their money kind of like, every pay system, every payroll system. I would think. I just don't know. Gupta, yeah, para system in Colorado covers almost all K through 12 school employees, cops, firefighters. Employees do pay some, but sweet deal for those. How nice. I still have a plasma TV. Works great. Well, I don't. I did. I had a plasma. I had 2 plasma TVs, but did not see any value in bringing them to the Philippines. And actually, come to think about it, I think they were long out of fashion when I left the U.S. Wandering Dog. I grew up in the 1990s, was playing sports, climbing on roofs all day. Internet still sucked then. Yeah, it did. I mean, I remember AOL dial-up service. I remember having a 600 baud modem. And then it took forever to download porn on that thing. My God. Chippy Whisker says, our RCA floor model had a sweet walnut finish. I banged on the side, cleared the picture up. Yeah, there you go. Ruby says, yes, it's payable when you lodge your annual tax return. Wow. So they go all year without collecting Medicare taxes and then collect from everybody when they file their tax returns. That's interesting. Don't you miss the day of taking the tunes out of your TV and to the local drugstore to be plugged in? Oh, the tubes. The tubes. I'll be honest with you, Dickie. I never had to do that. My dad did. I never had to do it. I didn't have a TV when I was in college. And my dad took care of it at home. So, excuse me. Be safe all. Have a good day, night, all time to install a new fuel pressure regulator on the Honda. Take care, Hillbilly. Good to see you. Dial-up sucked. 10 minutes to download a song. Yeah, downloading anything. So I think my first, what was my first computer? I can't remember. A Commodore 64 maybe, or I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Hector, I could have built a house using those CDs from AOL. Wasn't that an Earthlink? Yes. Oh my God. Even if you were a subscriber to AOL or Earthlink, you would get a CD in your mailbox every week from one of them. Every week. I wonder, how much of the earth did we just tear up making AOL and Earthlink CDs? That would have been different. Dickie, right on a Ben Franklin lobby. Wow. The worst is when the phone rang when you were down. Yeah. Again, you're right, Chippy. You are right. I can remember it happening. I can remember. Or all the chat rooms in AOL. Then you graduated to IRC to be more risque and get into better stuff. I played games on dial-up, Quake 1. I was never a big gamer as a young person. I didn't start playing internet games until in my 50s, and I pretty much quit in my 60s. Isn't that astounding? Okay, 70 people in the room. We have had a huge live stream. Absolutely huge live stream. If you have a topic that you want to discuss, put it out there now. and we'll touch on it. If not, then we'll call it a day. Chippy says, I had a Tandy from Radio Shack. He used a cassette to save stuff. I ended up graduating from, I think it was a Commodore, and then to a Tandy. Or maybe it was backwards. I can't remember. Dickie says, the early days of the web were like the wild, wild west. Indeed, they were. They absolutely were. Hector says, I had a techie position, so I troubleshot modem problems using these AT commands. Yes. All right, folks. I want to thank everybody. Absolutely thank everybody. Please do not figure, if you're watching this in replay, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the thumbs up. We would certainly appreciate it. We want everybody to have a great day. We wish all of you a safe time. Take care and God bless. Bye-bye.